Join us live on the Sherry Lord Talk Show podcast. Start your day off with the Higher Vibrational Podcast with weekly guests covering spirituality, healthy foods, and so much more. Go to sherrylord.com for more info.
Hey, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us every Tuesday. We're so excited. We have a very special guest coming, but in just one moment, we want to let you know to please chat. Not everybody chats, but we like to have you chat. You tend to follow and you'll share, but we'd love to have you ask a question. Kathleen or myself would love to answer it. And we have her back. She is a regular and we love her. And it's Kathleen Sherman. She is an author, a channel, and a teacher, and so much more. And welcome back, Kathleen. And we love the topic. And the topic is the benefits of tuning in and tapping into spirit. And you've been on our show before, and we just love having you back. Thank you. This is a very important topic. But can you do a brief of those who have not know who you are, a little bit about who you are, and then we'll go right into the topic.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Sherry. And we go way back. She helped me.
Yeah.
Sherry helped me to open up when I was first opening up and all through. So I appreciate friendship. And that's what it is. It's this beautiful connection that we have in the world. And that's what I want to talk about. But I am Kathleen Sherman. So I have written 2 books about opening up spiritually, about what that means to open up. But I also am a medical intuitive Reiki master. I blend a whole bunch of and shamanic techniques to kind of help people to move forward, to open their spiritual energy body up. That is what creates our physical existence of our body, mind, and spirit. And so, and I do a lot of mentoring. I do some retreats, and in the past, fairs, haven't done those lately, but I love to work with people and a lot of mentoring to help people to find themselves, to tap in and tune in. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So the benefits of tapping in and tuning into not only spirit, but into our inner knowing, and that connection between spirit, source, that we're all intuitive beings, but you can, you have to do a little bit of work to understand and to learn, and everybody does it in their own way, which is really cool. So everybody's completely unique. But we get to the point where a lot of times, and before I went through a spiritual awakening, I'd say 2014, when my mom started, my mother in spirit started talking to me after she died. That woke me up really quickly, and some other things that had happened to me. But I had learned at that point that I didn't understand any of this. And basically what I knew of as reality just shattered. So it just completely shattered. And when you're tapping in and tuning into spirit, what that means is, like when I just said the word shattered, a second before I said the word shattered, I saw it in my mind's eye of everything going psh and breaking apart. So this is our imagination, our intuition, our sense of fun, vulnerability, our connectedness is all, we're already connected. We're born connected. We end up shutting down and kind of closing ourselves off to that beautiful flow of life force energy that we don't even know exists. We just come in, pretty open as a child, pretty much most of the way, completely open usually. And then as we have life experiences, and Sherry and I were talking a little bit about, before we came on, about what shuts us down, the belief systems that we're taught from different things in life, and fears that we may have of certain things. And that keeps us from being grounded and connected. Not only, so we tap in like a tree of life, a tree that opens up and connects in with spiritual antenna. Well, I call spiritual antenna, like tree reaching up to the, and interconnecting in to source, heaven, the light, whatever you want to call it. And the other thing is we also have to realize that we ground into the earth, which is the mother, the feminine part of that God source. So above is the masculine usually, and below is the feminine. And that's one thing that I see missing a lot from everybody, and what what a lot of mainstream religions teach, I'll be just totally honest there, and what a lot of things teach is that, under the earth isn't so great, but it's not the truth. And so the earth is the nurturing mother. If you think about if you had an experience as a child where you just loved to cuddle up with your mom and maybe even your father, where you felt nurtured and you felt cared for and you felt completely safe. That is what the energy of the earth is. And what I see a lot of times is people being ungrounded for many different reasons. Yeah. Some of them is I want to go to a high frequency and I don't want to come down. Yeah. And stay there. And but the thing is, if you don't have this interconnection of this divine, basically it's like a river that runs through you, or a tree that goes heaven to earth within you. If you can even envision or imagine that you are a tree or even a step ladder from heaven to earth, then you actually open up your energetic system. And what I see a lot of times is people are just cut off. It's almost like we get it, almost like it gets twisted off. You know what I mean? We get disconnected, we call it, right? Mm-hmm. And so to reconnect, there are so many different ways of reconnecting, but it's all in the mind. Everything is mental. Hermetic teaching teaches you that. I talk about that in my second book because that is a mediumship book, but also it's just a pure channeling book. It's about how to channel spirit and connect in heaven and earth. And that's where I think a lot of misconceptions come in of tapping in and tuning into spirit, is that we're just all like, whoa, we're going to connect in, but it has to be a whole system, right? Yeah. We have to be grounded as well. And if we are not grounded, the energy doesn't flow. It's kind of like if you were to look at a river, this is just an example, a river, and it has a bunch of boulders in the way. That's what we have in our energy system most of the time. And sometimes that can be from fears or, things that we need to work on emotionally, mentally, energetically. And how do you do that? You do that with your intuition, aka imagination, and your breath. And there are so many beautiful ways, and meditations, guided meditations, allowing that flow and allowing that balance to come in. So once we start to have that balance, it's like this beautiful, how I call it when I do my spiritual work now, is just a dance, where once we can learn to tap in and tune in and accept the fact that we are part of that life force energy that comes from the whole, then when we step into that and really own it, it's the most exhilarating, most delicious energy that you can ever imagine. And it's our life. It's what we do not have to live in a living hell within our body and mind and spirit. It can be whatever you choose it to be. And so if you allow yourself to tap in and surrender and allow yourself to learn how to flow that energy, and sometimes that's just a surrender and going, okay, spirit, help me. If you can find that, you can find balance, peace, and groundedness within yourself and feel like heaven on earth. And when you do that, when you learn how to do that, and there's, like I said, there's so many ways, everybody is different, but if you can learn how to do that, you feel this peace wash over you that you've maybe never felt before. Yeah. And, how do you clear some of that stuff? By going into it. That's what we call shadow work, right? We call it shadow work, and going into maybe some tough experiences that we've had. Maybe if you don't feel comfortable in your mother's arms when you were a child, maybe there's something to go back and look at and work on. And so when we do those things, it helps you to come to more peace in that part of your body, and it helps to clear those boulders. That's a great way of putting it. I love how spirit comes through. And so, like I said, it becomes this dance. And I learned this little bit by little bit as I've been doing this for many years. I remember I had a fair, and I said to spirit, because doing medical intuitive readings, I'm looking in like an X-ray vision into somebody's energy field and going, what's blocked, stuck? What is it they need? Is there a past life thing? It could be a multitude of different things that's going on within them. Could be a deep-seated fear that doesn't even come from this lifetime. And one person comes to mind, like one person, I looked at her and she's afraid of going over bridges. And so when I looked in her entry, I'm like, oh, you went over a bridge in one of your lifetimes. I see it, and let's work on it. And so if you can learn how to work on those things, or even something from childhood, when you face it and you go into those feelings and you find the way of healing, you find the way of going in and saying, oh, what do you need? When you go into those things, just one person I just worked with recently, last time I worked with him, and this last, the time before, and then that time we worked on some childhood experiences, traumas. And all we had to do is just go in and recognize it, give it some healing, and move on. And when I talked to him just recently, he said those things aren't coming up those aren't bothering him anymore. So he's moved forward. So that's how we learn. We have to kind of clear the passageway, clear the boulders, clear the things that are lying heavily dormant within us in order to find some peace, in order to, it kind of just takes it out of your awareness. It's still there. It's still there in a way of, that happened, but you come into a place of where I would say you move into a more healed space for yourself. And then you just live a better life. Those things don't nickel and dime you of your energy anymore, of your what's going on in your head, and then your whole body falls into alignment. Your whole energy starts to flow in a better way. And then eventually, what Sherry and I were talking about is eventually you just start to live in a more happy way. Things aren't bogging you down. You're not so heavy anymore, right? And so it's a conscious decision. It's a conscious decision to go, do I want to feel better? And in a lot of ways, what we have to do is we have to say, I choose to turn around and look at what I've been running from all my life, or trying to get away from. And I choose to face it, and I choose to acknowledge whatever it is and stop running and start facing and healing whatever is going on within me. And so those are some of the boulders, or some of the things that we can come into when we start doing spirit work. And honestly, it's going to come up whether we do any kind of, just energetically anyway, no matter what, if we're trying to do energy work. But if you hit boulders, that's what that means. And so when you start to allow yourself to heal from said things, you start to feel more happy. You have a little lift in your spirit, a lot of lift in your spirit. And you think, wow, I feel like better than I ever have all my entire life, right? I feel so much better, or since I haven't felt this good in so many years, right? So you gotta kind of face the music. You gotta face what you need to face so that you can move through it. And so in some cases, what happens is we push people away. We aren't kind. We don't treat each other with respect. We project our own stuff onto other people in an argument, or just all the time. We become defensive. And then when you move through those things, that helps you to learn that why that you have reacted in certain ways, and then eventually, or in some ways, not nice to yourself, self-esteem, things like that. And so when you start to move forward in that space, you just start to feel better. You start to look better. You start to come to more peace, and you figure out how to have fun again.
Yes, enjoying life. And it does. It helps you release, I don't know if you want to call it a baggage, whatever you've been carrying, knowing or unknowing. It's a freedom. It's such lightness, and you enjoy life so much more. A great freedom. You're such a wonderful teacher as well. And I'd like to bring your book up because we want to talk about your book. Then we're going to go back, and if you can give our audience some tools and some things you'd like to share after that. So let me bring up your book. Because you guys want to look at her book. She's got amazing books out there. She's an amazing channel. And I really think you guys are just going to enjoy it. But it's going to be real big on her picture. But keep speaking. Here we go. We're going to bring up your books. You got more than one book.
Yes. That's an older picture of them, but that's okay. So these are my first, this is my first book, You're Not Crazy, You're Simply Divine. And that book is, it's about my life experiences of, I got kicked in the butt in my spiritual awakening. My mom passed, and I worked in a place that was very haunted, and all of a sudden I could see and sense things. And so I talk about that, but I talk about how to come to some peace, because at that point I didn't have any tools. So that gives you some amazing tools in just understanding what's out there in the universe. Like I said, it was kind of like a can opener open for me on the first book. And so after I started doing this work for a few years, and it was pretty quick, I heard by my guides, that's where you tap in and you go with the flow. I heard, sit down and write your book. And I'm like, what book? And I heard, you're going to write a book. And I said, about what? And they said, your story. People need to hear your story. I'm like, okay. And so I wrote about my story, but it also has guided meditations for every chapter. It's not super long. It just kind of gives you the nuts and bolts of spirituality and what's, what's real, what's not, what's out there, my experiences. And in that space, that first book helps you to understand. And then it also teaches you about the violet flame. It teaches you some tools to violet flame. That would be a great one to talk about, is a spiritual, energetic frequency that you can envision and imagine, and you create it, and you can imagine like a violet flame going through your whole house or through your space. It clears energetically. It actually is a spiritual tool that we had in Atlantis, in a very advanced society where we had advanced spiritual tools. It didn't end up well there, but we had a lot of things are coming back online for us to do better and to help clear space. And so it talks about the violet flame. It talks about connecting with the angels, the archangels. And so it has 11 guided meditations to help you to clear space and to understand. And if you run into things that aren't so great, what to do, right? And then my second book, You're Not Crazy, You're Simply a Psychic Medium, is a channeling book. And it teaches you all these different ways, all these different tools, that's super, super nuts and bolts of not my stories as much as here is how you do it. And I've had people that have called me and said, thank you so much. I read your mediumship book, and like I just started crossing people over that needed help, and I understood things on a much better level. So it teaches about how to do some oracle cards, tarot cards, divination tools. It teaches you how to ground, balance, and align. It teaches you how to tap in a more detailed way than the first book. So the first book gets you started, and the second book really hits at home. And eventually I'll start to write some medical intuitive books and shamanism books that help you in even a deeper way. The second book also has a template on how to clear past life and how to clear specific issues within your consciousness on your own. So that's really cool. And so these are different things. It also teaches you how to meet all of your spirit guides. It teaches you how to do all of that stuff, who they are, and how to connect with the angels, and how to keep yourself safe doing all those things. And it talks about the violet flame and all kinds of different things in there to help create a space that's a sacred, sovereign energy field around you and within you. Also, a chapter on empaths. So empathic abilities, we are when we tap into the spirit, we become more sensitive. So when we become more sensitive, we absorb and we pick up on things. And so it also teaches you how to not be bogged down or overwhelmed by energies outside of yourself. And it teaches you how to clear that and how to create a sacred space within your energy field and around you. That in old times, in the older ways of teaching those gifts and abilities, a lot of people would say, put a bubble around you. I don't teach that. I teach people how to tap in to their inner light and expand it out. And instead of shriveling themselves up and going, I'm so scared and I have to put all this protection around me. No, you don't. This is one tool I could say for sure. Stop making yourself small and allow yourself to find that light, find that spark again, and expand it up and out and put some frequencies around you. And this is a tool that you can use, is to to bring the energy back out. Don't make yourself small. Quit making yourself disappear, right? And don't make yourself vulnerable. And if you can expand your light out from your heart space all the way through your auric field, you have your presence, you have your expansive God source energy within you. And then I have them put rings of light, violet flame, golden light, purple, lavender, white light, sometimes rainbow around their energy field, and then tell it what you want it to do. So you can create your own reality so easily by using your consciousness. And I've been clearing houses and clearing yucky stuff for many, many years. And this has kept me very, very safe. So working with divine, I have been very, very, very safe because of my intentions and my belief in that energy. And so in that space, I've been successful because I learned how to kick some butt, spiritually, but I only could do that because I kind of got thrown into it, by the way. I got thrown into it very quickly, and I learned very quickly, it's you or me. But then I realized it's just about a higher consciousness. It's about, if you tap into your life source energy, if you tap into that God source energy that's within you, if you allow it to flow and find the ways that you get it to flow, then there's nothing stopping you. There's nothing of the dark that can even penetrate you or even get into you or around you, because you're glowing, right? And if you glow, that energy, the good energy, is so much, it outweighs any negative energy. Yeah.
How can people get your book? Because she's got a lot of tools in there. She's got a beautiful story about her life's path, a lot of wonderful tips, but also how to connect and everything else around that. And how can people get your book? Is it on Amazon? Is it your website?
Yep. If they go to my website, KathleenShermanHealing.net, all they have to do is just go to the book tab. So I do mentoring. There's book page on there that explains what the books talk about. And and it's really cool when you look into somebody, and there's another little tip here. If something's going ding, 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 oh my God, I got to do that. I got to read this, or I need to, that person's my mentor, whatever, or nope, not for me. You have to listen to that inner feeling. And so if you feel that sounds right, and I do teach so much. I have to say, when I sat down to write the second book, they said, sit down. And this time I listened a little better. And it was funny because I thought it was going to be a shorter book, and it was like, no, I put everything in that you could possibly need for mediumship and channeling. It's really a channeling book, because to me, mediumship and channeling, they go hand in hand. Like, to me, I don't separate and differentiate very much. In the book, I had to a little bit to kind of explain how things work, but honestly, it's all just tapping in and tuning into spirit. So if you can allow yourself to be open, you can channel just like that, just like we do. Yeah. And so that's, just go to my website. It's on Apple, it's on Kindle, it's on Amazon, it's on everything. So all you have to do is just click on it and it'll show you, and you can get it in, you can get a physical copy through Amazon, and you could for both books, and you can also get them just on your phone. You can get them on Kindle and anything like that. So you can read them on your phone.
Wonderful. Yeah. Highly recommend the book. I highly recommend the book. It's amazing. You're going to get a lot out of it. Some people will highlight to remember what they got and then go back to it, and it sinks in. I think it's amazing. It's wonderful to have tools and teachers, and because people are awakening, people are evolving right now at another level. But I want to go back to grounding a little bit, because there's some people who are new at this. They don't understand. They know the word grounding, but they need how do they ground? How do they know they're grounded? I mean, what tools are there's many variety, but what is your method? What do you share with people who are starting out, who which you gave a lot of insight. If there's something you need to look at, if there's a fear or something that doesn't make you feel safe, that's really good to look at. But how can they ground? Is there any tools that they can do to ground more or know they're grounded?
Yeah. So there's lots and lots of different ways, probably endless. But one thing, and I noticed after working with people and they get that high feeling, it's like, woo, yeah. I'm like, okay,
Right.
drink some water. So drinking some
Yep.
water, eating some healthy food.
Yep.
Like sometimes I have to eat fruit or vegetables, which is okay. One thing in some of the like Tai Chi is just kind of bouncing, bringing yourself back, go stand in the grass, go stand in the grass, just feel your feet on the ground. You can just take a breath and say, I ground myself. And I'm doing this because that's like a Qigong move, but you can just kind of scan through your body and just tell your body energy.
Okay.
It's body, mind, and spirit. It's all parts of your energy. You can say, I take a breath and I send all my energy down to this physical dimension. And I'm completely grounded and balanced with a breath in and out. So your breath helps you do all this work. So when I just did that, I stopped feeling so woo, and I started feeling more balanced. And so what we're doing is we're bringing ourselves back to the physical dimension, which sometimes doesn't feel safe. So if you don't feel safe, just think about what I talked about. I bring in this, I infuse myself with light in this specific frequency of this physical world, because we're spiritual beings. We come from source. We come from the heavenly realms, right? And so when we come into the physical body, this is more dense here. So it doesn't always feel comfortable, plus all the experiences that we have. And so if you can take a breath and just tell your energy to come back down to the physical level where you are safe, grounded, and you can imagine roots coming out of your feet, going into the earth and breathing in and out. And on the breath out, you completely dig in your roots into the earth, nice and solid, just like a tree. And on the out breath, it makes your whole body feel like you just got heavier. A lot of times too, when you do that, here's a little tip. You can also set the intention that anything you're holding on to that's holding you back, that's keeping you from being grounded, you let it just slide right into the earth. Mother Earth will take anything you need. And if you can do that, it helps you to feel, oh, I just let go of something. You might not have to know what you're letting go of. Any fears or experiences or biases, beliefs from something you've been taught in the past, right? And especially with the earth, we're talking about that. A lot of people don't feel like the earth it's a sacred mother energy. Yeah. It's nothing else. I'll just put it that way. And if you can just imagine wrapping your energy, your roots around the divine mother's core, it's just like source above. And if you can, this is something that really helps me, is if you can imagine wrapping it around or anchoring it in the divine mother energy, divine mother God aspect. If you do that and imagine it, envision it, and breathe out and envision that, and then bring that energy back up into your being. This is what a lot of people are missing. They're top heavy. They're going into the ethers of all this amazing, but the whole bottom of them, when I look at them energetically, I'm like, the whole bottom is like emaciated and tiny and all blocked up. But this part, so what happens is we're top heavy and we aren't flowing the energy. So if you can set the intention that you open up through, there's also a central channel, a tube of light that goes to the center. If you just imagine, I call it the rotor-rooter, opening up and letting everything out of the it's through the spinal canal and all the way down through like a tube. If you can imagine just emptying out whatever you're holding on to through that tube, just envisioning that, imagining it, whatever, and just sending it down or even up through the tube of light, you're interconnected. And so that it's the stairway to heaven within us. It's a channel of chi or life force energy that moves heaven to earth. And if you can get it to open up, but you don't just do it up above, you have to integrate and bring it down into the earth and then reciprocate it. And then you loop the energy back and forth, heaven to earth within you. And then you realize you unplug from all the experiences in the physical world that were bugging you from outside of you. Yeah. And you become this beam of light, right? And so when you do that, it helps to just automatically clear your fears and stuff that's going on. And it helps you to ground, balance, and then bring yourself back to the heart space, to the physical experience. You're not stuck in the upper realms of consciousness. Yeah. You're here in the present, and you are experiencing your life at a higher frequency in a more happy and balanced way than you ever could imagine you could have. And so it makes you feel grounded, balanced, and aligned in between all of the dimensions, between which you probably don't understand at all, but that's okay. all you have to know is that you are present and you're grounded and safe in this space. And you are safe because anything that comes at you it's like you're this beam of light, you radiate it. And so when you radiate that good energy, that good juju, you feel amazing, and it ripples out, and you don't have to worry about anything bad coming at you. And it helps you to heal. So that light, that God source energy, if you allow it, it's the yin yang. Yeah. So it's like the yin yang is the masculine, feminine. Everything comes into harmony within you, into the center, and it helps you to feel more safe in the presence of the physical experience of life. Yeah. So
that's amazing. This is wonderful. We so appreciate having you on our show and your wisdom and teachings. And again, how can people get a hold of you and your book?
Yep. So KathleenShermanHealing.net is my website. So it's a go-to for everything. And you can find me on there. You can book sessions with me online in person in Michigan. I'm in Hickory Corners, Michigan. And so I allow people to come in person as well. And if that's something that interests you, I also do mentoring. I have the books, but I also teach classes, and I think I'm going to be teaching in the fall here, probably some medical intuitive classes, which start with mediumship in the book. So I also have a lot of tips and tools, free classes on my website, and I have a ton of classes. I have a mediumship class that goes along with the second book. I have everything you can think of. I also have a class that I created for people who are like, I went to a physical therapist and I'm like, you need some help. So it's for physical therapists and body workers and things like that don't understand spirit, how to clear your energy and how to not absorb and how to work with your empathic parts of yourself. So
thank you so much, Kathleen. Thank you. Well, definitely we'll have you back on, and we love having you back on, and we appreciate you. May everyone have a prosperous journey and blessings on your journey. Bye, everyone, and thank you again, Kathleen. We'll have you back on. You've been amazing, and you highly recommend her. Make sure to give her a call and get her book.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
International psychic medium and podcast host Sherry Lord. She is one of the most sought after psychic mediums. Book your special readings. Go to www.sherrylord.com.